Okay, Skywatcher episode 2 has just dropped, and everyone was pretty excited for this one. They've just showcased 9 different types of UAP UFOs, and we're going to be looking at all of those and also where we've seen them before. And I haven't actually seen anyone else making these specific connections just yet. But of course, we're also going to be talking about the controversy because, like everything in UFO land and in life, you just can't please everybody. And, you know, I feel like the day that we get Ross Coulthart slapping the roof of a UFO, people will have steam coming out of their ears saying that it's actually just a deep state cyborg version of Ross. That's just the way it is, unfortunately. So we're going to get into all of that. First, we're going to skim over just what we've learned today and what that means, and then we'll get into the juicy stuff. And by the way, my name is Josh. This is Polarity. We focus on the weird, and it would be great if you subscribed and liked the video and came on this journey with me. But if you don't, that's okay too. I won't hold it against you. I'll just cry myself to sleep at night. Okay, so here are the 9 different classes of UFOs that they have found through their work on the range at Skywatcher. Now, they've came across these by using a combination of psionic assets, which we know about, but also something that they call the dog whistle. And they don't really tell us too much about it, but it's essentially an electromagnetic signal or wave that apparently has a 100% success rate in making these things appear. So we don't have too many details on the dog whistle yet, but what I found really interesting was the fact that with these 9 classes, they actually said themselves that, as I show here, some of them may actually be the same thing under different flight conditions. And I personally think that is probably the case. So I color-coded them to how I think this could apply. So this is just me speculating. Don't go writing a letter to Aro about it. From looking at them, from looking at the videos and the characteristics that are explained, which we'll look at in a moment, I think these are potentially the same thing in maybe just different forms or different flight conditions. So let's, and by the way, class 6, the bright star, I'm really unsure. That might even be its own thing, but it does kind of look similar to the blue and orange group. So let's just skim over what we've seen so far. So class 1, the tetra, spins and tumbles, appears to flash. It seems like it's surrounded by some kind of vapor or cloud. And this one's been seen in groups of up to 23. Then we've got the Tic Tac that we all know about the Tic Tac, right? Seen in groups of 2 or 3 by Skywatcher. It's got erratic flight, just like we're told in the Nimitz encounter. Approximately 40 feet long. Again, these are the same kind of details that we got with the Nimitz encounter. Now, it seems to be friendly, and we'll get into that more. And this one has been seen before, as we all know. Then we've got number 3, the blob. So this one is pulsing or vibrating, cloud-like, possibly an object inside the cloud. That's sort of emitting this vapor-like shield around it. Class 4, the beam, only seen through infrared. They don't really have much data about that yet, and that's why I kind of have grouped these 2 together in the green class because, I don't know, I feel like they could just be the same. Then we've got class 5, which I think is potentially the same thing as the first one, the tetra. This one tumbles and rotates on all axes, similar to class 1. It's got an very organic and smooth shape. This one also seems to show some kind of friendly behavior, which we'll get into. And this one's also been seen before, so we're going to show a video of that a little bit later. We've got the bright star. Not really sure where this one belongs. Could be either, could be on its own. They said that it vibrates very quickly, and it shines and reflects like a crystal in the sky. Then we've got the jellyfish. So this is a term we've all heard before, but they're quite clear that it's not that. So this thing they believe to be about 2 meters wide, seems to have some kind of tentacles coming from the bottom of it. They said it's very organic and it moves in the sky almost as if it's swimming. And it appears to be hostile. And this has also been seen before, but not where you think. We'll get into the hostile stuff in a moment. So then we've got the hornet. Basically seems like it's a similar but bigger version of the class 7 jellyfish. Potentially is a jellyfish but carrying something. And this also appears to be hostile. And then we've got the egg. Interestingly, they said this is just an emerging class. They've got little data, but enough to kind of confirm that it exists. And, I would say probably picking one up with your helicopter was enough data to confirm that. But, that's just me. So what was interesting there is, first of all, there's no triangular or saucer-shaped crafts. And in episode 1, they showed a clip of them getting interrupted, or there was a saucer-shaped craft that seemed to be disrupting or trying to ruin whatever kind of psionic contact they were having with a UAP. So it was interesting that there was absolutely no mention of saucer craft, but also in the interview that Jake Barber just did with Ross Coulthart, I'm pretty sure it was that interview, they said that they won't be showing any known ARV vehicles. So any vehicles that are US made, black budget, black project, anything like that, we're not going to see. So I don't know, maybe that's why we didn't see a saucer. Maybe that's why we didn't see any triangular shaped craft, because those shapes are generally attributed to reverse engineer, our version of UFOs. No 8 gons either. So interesting. Now, the 3 main focuses of this episode were the Tic Tac, the Jellyfish, and the Manta Ray. So they're the ones we're going to go a little bit deeper on here. Now, the Tic Tac, I don't feel like we need to really talk about that. Everyone's heard about the Tic Tac for a long time. If you want to see where you've seen them before, just go on X and search Tic Tac UFO. There's heaps. So I feel like we can probably just go straight on to the next thing, which is the Jellyfish. So let's watch the clip first.
I would say the most significant encounter that I've had here was probably interacting with the Jellyfish.
Every day, we've identified some form of Jellyfish UAP that seems to be attracted to our machine calling system. Every day, the Jellyfish has gotten pretty close to the radar, and yesterday, it was so close that the team there could actually see it with their naked eye.
Probably 4,000 feet above us, about maybe 1 kilometer out, horizontal distance above the ground, and it looked like 8 meters total in distance from top to bottom. The top will look like a mushroom, like a big jellyfish. It was very, very, very bright white and vibrating and flashing, like pulsing. There was like 3 flashing panels, like equal distance going down it. I've seen some the last couple of days through a sensor, so I'd seen them before, so it wasn't like awe-shocking, but it was, kind of taking back to be like, oh wow, really am seeing one, with my actual visual eyes, right here, right above me at 4,000 feet. It looked like a jumper under canopy at 4,000 feet, which is the same distance when they pull. So that part is crazy. Then I knew like, I'm not seeing stuff, there it is. It's the same thing that I've been seeing on sensor. And all the characteristics, were consistent with what a class 7 should look like.
It's not the jellyfish you've seen on TV, it's a different jellyfish. We think the head of the jellyfish is about 2 meters in size. We think the tentacles hanging down are about 3 to 5 meters in size, varying and depending on which one you're looking at. You can see these stills are taken from different jellyfish. You can see this jellyfish, the tentacles look very, very long. On this one, they look shorter compared to the head. As you can see, the nodules on the tentacles light up. And again, this light appears to us to go from head to tail and pulse and light up the nodules as it goes. Also, sometimes it looks like an automaton or something with like an alien movie where it's got like the tail kind of hanging out, like it's seeking something. And sometimes it looks like it's a jellyfish in the sky. It seems to undulate as it moves. We have seen these take direct flight paths. Even yesterday, for the first time, we had 2 in formation. We've never seen that before. And you can kind of start to see now the tentacles hanging down as it moves. In IR, they're very obvious. They're less obvious in EO. So we have multiple indications that this is a real object, that is not man-made, and that it is flying through our airspace and does want to avoid us.
So it's interesting how they've used the term jellyfish, right? Because in the interview on News Nation just recently with Jake Barber and Ross Coulthart, Jake specifically said this is not that jellyfish, the one from the Jeremy Corbell video. He said it's not that. He said that one is very rigid, it doesn't move, whereas the one they have seen is very sort of organic and it almost seems like they're swimming. Now, it's interesting that they've said that it's hostile, right? And how they've come to that conclusion. And it's also interesting that it looks like the Star Wars Imperial drone, which is coming from the hostile force. I don't know. That's kind of weird to me, but whatever. That's neither here nor there. So they've said that this thing appears aggressive and that it tries to encroach on their group. So it's interesting how they came to that conclusion though, right? Because, you know, what's the difference between a UFO that just happens to be visible by the naked eye versus feeling like it's encroaching on you? I feel like there might be more to that they're not telling us. But they did say that this Jellyfish UAP, when they sort of went to go towards it in their helicopter, it actually jammed up their helicopter. Check this out.
We sent the helo out to intercept the Tic Tac, but the first attempt failed because our radar was being jammed by the Class 7 Jellyfish.
Where were we in the sky the first time you saw that? That was when we were 7 kilometers or so out to the northwest, 340 at that spot that we went to.
And we kept trying to climb, and it wouldn't let us.
Our helicopter launched, and about a half mile out, the helicopter stopped moving. Engine's running, blades are turning, but it would not go forward, it would not go up, it would not go left or right, it was stuck there.
So we're kind of, imagine like a blanket above us, and it's like pressing us down.
So maybe we were in proximity to it. It was saying, don't come any higher.
Instrumentation started to bounce, and the collective basically was frozen. I've never experienced anything like that before. I've got over 4,000 hours of flight time, and this has never happened before.
So we don't know how they're jamming us. We don't know how they're turning our equipment off yet. Best guess would be a microwave signal. We're not seeing it on the frequencies we're using for our collection equipment.
Yeah, this is north, but it's not giving a reading at all.
So that's very interesting, right? This thing, their helicopter was mid-air, blades turning, but they couldn't move. They didn't specifically say they couldn't go down, but they definitely couldn't go up. They couldn't move, but the helicopter was on. So I feel like that's that's just the beginning of what we are being told on why these things appear to be hostile, or they don't appear to want to get too close. I don't know. I feel like there's probably a little bit more to come on that one. Now, where have we seen these things before? It's not the Jeremy Corbell video, although they've used the same name, which is strange, right? Because I feel like so often people rebrand things in this space. You know, like it's not UFO, it's UAP. It's not aliens, it's now NHI. It's not ESP or psychic, it's psionics. And they've even changed psionics to neural meditative state now. But they kept this name, even though they explicitly said it's not the same. I don't know, that seems like a weird choice to me. You change the name for everything else, why wouldn't you change this? But I don't know. Anyway, where have we seen this before? I think we have seen this in a video that came out last year that I think is one of the most underrated videos that didn't really get talked about much or enough, despite how anomalous and interesting it was. So check this out. I'm sure you guys have probably seen it before. So this was allegedly taken in Afghanistan, I believe. And that is, from what I understand, US missiles being fired at these things, but they just kind of, I don't know if you would say absorb the missile. They certainly don't affect it. They just kind of go straight through it, and they just kind of stay there and keep doing their thing. And I think, there we go. I knew I had another slide. So look, if you look at them like that, and they actually had that clip from before where they showed the actual jellyfish in the IR radar, and it's like the exact same shape. So I believe they're possibly the same thing. And it's also interesting that Jake Barber and Skywatcher are saying these things are hostile, and we have footage from less than a year ago, from what we understand to be from US military, firing on these things, which would mean they also deem them as hostile, or at least not friendly, or at least a threat, or something like that. Like that all kind of adds up. So I don't know. I don't necessarily think these jellyfish are a new thing. Maybe for us they are, but not for these guys. Now, what's next? Okay, staying with the theme of marine life, let's look at the manta ray, which was the other main feature of this episode.
The class 5 we call the manta ray. It looks to be like is written a manta ray. It has round everywhere. I don't think there's anything straight or nearly straight. We actually went frame by frame on this because it was tumbling slowly and derived a 3D model of what we think it looks like. Here you can see it tumbling and spinning on multiple axes as it comes through the frame.
And you said this is going perpendicular to the wind and faster than the wind.
Yes, it was on radar. It was on imagery, multiple bands. And the interesting thing is the radar shows this vibrating as well, the same heartbeat signal, which is really a boost in our analysis because only UAPs appear to have the vertical and horizontal heartbeat. Manned aircraft, balloons, birds, drones, they don't. They have a flat line trajectory and also a flat line radar signature.
So what's interesting about the manta ray and the Tic Tac is that in this episode, Jake Barber had said that when this jellyfish was seemingly encroaching on them or displaying some kind of hostile intent, that the manta ray and Tic Tacs would position themselves in between them. And that's why I kind of wrote potentially demonstrating some kind of friendly characteristic, because from the way they described it, it's almost as if they were, blocking them or protecting them, perhaps. I don't know how else to explain it, but that's the way it was kind of put across in the episode. But interestingly, they said that it took the manta rays and the Tic Tacs 3 to 4 days to actually show up. What does that mean? Show up from when? From when you got there? From when you started getting in trouble from the jellyfish encroaching on you? Like, what does that mean? I don't know, but it's interesting. Is that like positive reinforcements coming to help you? Are they human operated? I don't know. We need to find out more, but they're the questions that I come to when I get that. And also I just noticed here that it says it jammed the helicopter motor. I don't know if that's technically true because it was still, he just said the things were still spinning, but this is a live show. We can't make redactions, but I will point it out. Now, where have we seen the manta ray before? Well, interestingly, in that clip, you might have noticed that it was coming down as a plane flew past. Well, we've actually seen a manta ray looking thing shot from a plane before. Check this out. So you can see there, these, they look very similar shaped. And, I'm sure it's just a coincidence, but this picture here was taken from an airplane. Well, it was filmed from an airplane, and that's just a still shot from the footage. But also in Skywatcher's footage, it basically looks like it tumbles right past an airplane. So I don't know. Are we looking at the same thing here? Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Now, another thing that I found interesting about this episode is that all of the operators, the Psionics, they all seem to find it interesting that they're only just beginning to see some of these things with their naked eyes. That most of this stuff is happening on radar, and it's always on radar, but they're surprised and excited that we saw a couple of things with our naked eye or with our binoculars. And I found that interesting, right? Because, people who are doing CE5 or Chris Bledsoe, who can summon orbs, you don't need radar to see those things. These things are very clear, very close to you. They're very obvious. It's very obvious to the naked eye. Yet these guys are here with their eye masks on doing psionics, whatever that means. Yet none of these things, or hardly any of these things, are visible with the naked eye. Now, what's the difference there? Are these not, these all seem like the same kind of techniques to me. I don't know if it's to do with the fact that most of their stuff is done during the day. So perhaps it's not as visible with all the light. That would make sense. But it seems strange that they're not getting things coming too close versus people doing CE5, Chris Bledsoe type stuff that are very close. So I don't know. That's just something I wanted to point out. Let me know what you guys think about that in the comments because, we're really just spitballing here. I'm not trying to tell you what to think. I'm just sharing my thoughts with you. So let's get to the controversy. Now, Jay Anderson, who's been doing pretty well for himself lately, got a few clips on Joe Rogan, kind of at the spearhead of the UFO community's facet of the whole Giza pyramid developments. He's not happy about it. So this is a small fraction of a very long-winded, stern post that Jay wrote about Skywatcher. So I'm just going to read you this section, and then we're going to talk about the interaction that I had with him about this, and we'll talk about what his point is. So he said, a number of people in the UFO community don't seem to understand my position in regards to methods of initiating forms of UFO contact through consciousness itself, and I find this quite surprising. Perhaps it's more to do with the desire to support the next big thing. Nevertheless, Skywatcher worries me. And it doesn't worry me because I'm some screaming liberal who hates guns, because that's not true. I actually have the standard guy personality of loving guns. I have military veterans in my family, was even considering the Royal Marines when I was younger, but then I smoked some weed and realized their wars aren't mine. Fair play to that. Okay, so it's not the fact that guns make me want to cry, right? So what is it then? What is it that bothers me about Skywatcher team? Well, and honestly, I'm kind of annoyed at you. Don't be annoyed at me, bro. He's annoyed that he even has to point this out. When you're engaging in CE5, HICE, Psionics contact protocols, you are making very specific forms of contact that are rooted in your state of consciousness. When you have the soldier's mind, and when you're literally engaging actively with that soldier's mind through gearing up, having your weapons ready, just in case, it's that very just in case mindset that can royally fuck with your contact event. So basically he's saying like things that I have said on this channel even before, like, are the military the right people to be engaging in first contact? The paranoid freak in the corner who thinks everyone's there to attack them, so they're got their weapons drawn at all times. I've talked about this on the channel. And so I get that side of it. So there was a lot more to it, but you can go on his X if you want to read the rest of his novel. But this is what I said. I totally agree with your point regarding state of consciousness dictating the type of experience you have. Jake Barber has said that Skywatcher are armed due to factions of the government and military that do not want them doing this, obviously. It's not in preparation for a malevolent encounter with NHI, which Jake Barber has actually said in that interview with Ross Coulthart that, he said that, and he also said that, if that were to happen, their guns are going to be useless. Anyway, keep going. I said, so if they are going into this with a pure intention, but as public figures have to also take necessary precautions to protect themselves from other humans, how would this actually affect the potential contact situation negatively, right? Because if they really are doing this with genuine intent, but there also really is people out there who don't want them doing this and might come and try to stop them, how does that play into it? Is that still a bad thing? I don't know. I actually don't know. I was asking the question with a genuine curiosity. And he came back and said, that is grade A bullshit. Sorry, don't believe them. Don't believe they're making high production value TV style episodes of their work whilst government kill squads are coming for them. It's a total farce. I swear to God, mate, they are just making this shit up 100%. So it's interesting, especially the point that he's making there regarding, are we really doing high production videos in the desert when people are out to get us? Now, it's a good point. I don't know if they are armed because they know people are out to get them, or it's a just in case thing because obviously this is also covered up. We really don't know. It could literally just be a just in case thing. So how does that affect how would that affect their potential engagement with something? I really don't know. I will say as well, and I just think this is worth pointing out, right? That this all could be like the greatest psyop of all time. I'm talking like a staged production to investigate things that are actually US tech, all US made, all US operated, that gets the public on board to make it look like that even America don't know what they're looking at. So they appear kind of naive and dumb, when in reality, that's their technology. And they have all this stuff that would just blow people's minds. We wouldn't even understand it if we saw it. Like, I think there is the possibility that the Psy-Op runs so deep that even like Jake Barber thinks he's doing the right thing. He thinks he's investigating UAPs, but all of those things that we just looked at are some form of like wild technology that we don't know. And that this is being let run because it allows the US to appear naive and not show their hand. I don't know. That's just an idea. I'm not saying that's what I think, but it's worth just keeping in the back of your mind because this could all just be the biggest Psy-Op of all time. Now, in Jay's point as well, what I find interesting is that he specifically says that it's high production value TV. Now, I've talked about this on the channel as well. Production value and how it bothers us. What is my next slide? Yeah, Courtney Brown. Look, I was going to show some of his footage, but I felt like that's kind of doing him a bit dirty. He seems like a nice guy, but his production value is terrible. And I feel like when I watch things that Courtney Brown makes, I find it hard to fully subscribe to because I'm just like, my God, this looks so dog shit. This looks so like the quality is just so bad. I'm finding it hard to believe it. And then when you watch stuff made by Skywatcher, you're like, oh yeah, this just looks like a fucking movie. You know what I mean? Like you can't please anybody. You're always going to have people who are upset no matter what the production value is. And that's when I think we have to be more intuitive and, put our preconceived biases aside and not worry about the things that kind of don't really matter. Like, if you saw a video of a real UFO up close taken on like a Nokia 3315, are you going to be like, yeah, that's bullshit because it's so shit quality? You know what I mean? Like that, as annoying as shit quality is, it's actually irrelevant to the information being put through. That doesn't mean the information is true, but you shouldn't let the quality impact your decision on whether it's true or not. I think that was a bit long-winded, but hopefully you get what I'm saying. So, yeah, I just kind of wanted to point out the trivialness of the production quality. I talked about it on this channel when we spoke about the Netflix show, The Manhattan Alien Abduction. Now, that was bad. Like, that was so, dramatic music, real cinematic shots of, like, close-ups of, like, that was annoying. That was bad. And that, in my opinion, did take away from the data and story that was being told. Whereas, if I'm honest, I do think Skywatcher have a higher level production, but I don't think they overdo it. There's not really any like X-Files music. There's nothing trying to make it feel like spooky or silly. It's just well made, and I that's it. I just think it's well made, and I don't necessarily know if that's something to hold against them. I think they just want to be taken seriously, and I think that's evident in their approach as well. But again, that doesn't mean it's all true. So it's when you need to use your own discernment. Personally, I'm staying optimistic for now. I think I get good vibes from Jake Barber. I like the approach that they're taking. It feels very authentic and legit, but it's also only episode 2. Like, you don't have to fully subscribe to yes or no right now. It's very early. I think it's silly to, put all your eggs in one basket. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, if you're feeling good about Skywatcher or if it's just a Psy-Op. Don't forget to subscribe, give the video a like as well, but more importantly, don't forget to go outside, get sun on your skin, take your dog out, touch some grass, look after yourself, and I'll see you next time.
Eventually people are going to say, what the hell is going on?
No matter how far you go into the dark, when you flip, you go exactly the same place to the light in our galaxy. Everything. Because everything is in balance. Everything is a polarity.
I think it's just going to get weirder and weirder and weirder, and finally it's going to be so weird that people are going to have to talk about how weird it is.